Hello and welcome to our webinar. Today we are going to be talking about harnessing the power of your team. As the sponsors, Meisterplan, I'd like to just take 1 minute. We're going to get to the main show soon, but just take 1 minute to tell you a little bit about us. So at Meisterplan, we really try to help companies make plans that work. So the way that we do that is we help you build realistic project portfolios, and we have our software is project portfolio software, project portfolio management software with a resource planning focus. And what we try to do is help you go beyond just planning for the short term, but planning for the medium and the long term. And here you'll see a couple of, or a few of our customers. We do have 450 customers globally and about 100 in the US. And so we really try to help you guys, or all of our customers, take what is really often tedious. I think you guys know, like planning ahead and trying to figure out your whole portfolio of projects and what should be done when and who's available and all of that, and simplify it. So the ways that we try to simplify that are, one way is that we let you choose your level of granularity as far as details. So you can just bring in just the level of detail that you need, a relatively high level, so that you can plan out even 12 months in advance or 18 months in advance. But if you want to get a little bit more granular, you can do that too. So Meisterplan will accommodate whatever level of granularity for whichever time horizon you're planning for. Another thing we do is we integrate your task level tools. So we allow your teams to keep using the tools that they use, that they know best and that they work with really well. And you just bring in the details that you need from those tools, and you can align your task effort estimates with your portfolio level plans. And one of the third things that we like to highlight here is our what if scenarios. And so instead of just looking at reports and just looking at what has happened in the past, what you can do in Meisterplan is you can really build out those what if scenarios. So you can think about, what are plan alternatives? What if we say this project is a priority over this one? Or what if we move this out to next quarter? What will that look like? And you'll be able to really simulate your best plan and figure out the best way forward. And you can also do things like resolve resource bottlenecks on the fly as they arise. So that's, in a nutshell, a lot of the main things that Meisterplan does and that we try to help you guys with. And now that you know about us, I'd like to introduce you to Ms. Sinikka Waugh. And she is the president of she's the president of your Clear Next Step. And Sinikka is a leader in understanding people, adapting tools, techniques, and processes. She really helps you meet the demands of the situations that you're in. She's a great trainer and speaker, and I love her energy. And she has this try this now approach, which is awesome. And it was really cool. I learned this recently, but since 2008, Sinikka and her team they've helped over 57,000 people to be able to have better work days and to co-create better communities. And I think that's just awesome. So she is our speaker today. We had her last year as well to speak on one of our webinars and really enjoyed that. So I personally am looking forward to it. And so with that, Sinikka, I will hand it over to you.
Thank you so much, Caroline. And thank you to each of you for joining in today. I would love it as if you would take a moment and just chime in where you're dialing in from, so I understand the time zones, the locations. If you use that question space right now, I know that Caroline and I are the only two faces that we see on screen. And I will tell you, as a facilitator, it is wildly boring and tedious to talk to ourselves. And so knowing that you're out there, knowing that there are other people there, I see 12 little heads, or at least the number 12 by the little heads count on the screen. But if you would go into the questions panel and just type in the name of the city or the geographic location, where are you dialing in from today? Oh, I see Susan coming in from New York. We got some folks coming in from Chicago. Thank you. Ooh, a big city, Sacramento. Fantastic. Thank you. Dubuque, Iowa. Love it. Thank you so much. Loving seeing people dialing in from all over the place. And as we start to think about this, A group of individuals. So we're a perfect example of that today, right? We're a perfect example of a group of individuals does not a team make. I'll say this again. A group of individuals does not a team make. You can't just throw a group of individuals together and say, poof, you're a team. But when a team is formed, we can harness the power of that team, and a team that is well harnessed can do amazing things. The power behind a team that understands its strengths, that understands its blind spots, and can leverage the strengths within it to offset those blind spots. A team that understands and flows in the same direction, a team that can lift each other up. Wow, that team can be so powerful. But how do you do it? How do you get there? And whether you're a project leader, whether you're a business analyst, whether you are influencing the team from the outside, whether you have a seat at the table, the idea of harnessing the power within a team can be so powerful. Oh, Caroline, thank you so much. I see the question noted that you should be able to turn on your cameras right now. If you would like to do that, I would be so delighted if you would turn on your cameras now as we flip the screen. You should be able to also make sure you can see the tool that we have for the session today. It's in the materials tab. If you go over to the third tab there's a materials tab. It's got a little paperclip on it. There should be a download there. It'll give you a guide for the session today. There's also, Haley has put in the chat window or in the questions window a link. So if the materials isn't there, you should be able to see the link. But here's what we're going to do. As we think about harnessing the power of a team, we want to make sure that when we do that, we are harnessing that power effectively, that we're using that team energy in a way that is healthy. So we're going to talk about psychological safety, right? Healthy and safe and productive, that we're moving and we're churning in the same direction. We don't want to have tension. We don't want to be combative. We don't want to be going all different directions. We want to harness that energy and really put it in the same direction to do powerful things. So we're going to get a reusable tool today. You're going to get a process that will help you develop and communicate norms that will help you effectively bring your team together, regardless of what seat you sit in, what seat you occupy in that team. I really believe that we can harness the power of the team. You don't have to be the project manager. It helps, but you can influence from any seat, whether you're a business analyst, whether you're a development lead, whether you're a tech lead, whether you are someone working on the team and influencing from the side. If you're a sponsor, if you are whatever role you're in, you can help influence this. You can help shape these conversations. And if we can help put this together, we can really move together more effectively. So that's what we're after today. The first thing I'm going to invite you to do is think about a team that you are part of and find a one-word adjective that you would use to describe that team. And you don't have to share that word if you don't want to. If you would like to share that word, go ahead and put that word in the questions. But a team that you are a part of right now, maybe it's your first team, maybe it's a team that you're also part of. But what's a one-word adjective that you would use to describe that team? Is it effective? Is it slogging? Is it contentious? Is it, what is that word? What word would you use to describe that team? Oops, sorry, bumped that too high. One word that you would use to describe that team. So I invite you to think, oh, scrappy. I see the word scrappy in there. I love that. Scrappy. Motivated. Fantastic. Energized. Sometimes I hear controlling. Sometimes I hear conversational or chatty. Sometimes I hear unfocused. Sometimes I hear energized or energizing. When we're really high performing, when we're a high performing team, we are honest and candid with each other. We are able to play to our strengths. We're able to be candid about the things that we don't do particularly well. We're able to talk about the mistakes that we make. We're able to operate in the reality of the situation in which we find ourselves. We're not trying to do things that we don't do well. We're able to bounce back from mistakes that we make. We're able to take things in stride. We're able to step in when someone else needs to step out temporarily or for a long time. We're able to predict the future. we're able to, I heard Caroline just describe those what if scenarios. We're able to play with those what if scenarios with a bit more, strategy, right? We're able to really anticipate those and feel comfortable about those. So as we move forward in this conversation, I've got a reminder that one of the things that we are interested in this is making sure that our work days are good for all of the people on the team. So not just one of the people on the team, but all of the people on the team. And why was that team formed? So that first team that you're part of, or that team that you're thinking of, does everybody on that team know why they're here? Does everybody on that team know why they're here? Are they all consistently driving towards the same vision? And are they all happy to be there? Are they all equally engaged? Maybe you look at that and you're like, hey, this is a really energized, fun team. But you look around and you go, oh, somebody else doesn't love that. They're not having a great time. They're not having great work days. When we have a highly effective team, everybody is glad to be there. And we're producing predictable, reliable, consistent results. And when those results are coming off course a little bit, then we are able to bounce back from that, learn from that, and recover from that. So when we think about a healthy, safe, and productive team, these are the 5 elements that I would expect a healthy, safe, and productive team has. The first one is that we're all marching towards a common goal. We all have a healthy level of self-awareness. We all also are operating within a reality-based set of mutual expectations and norms. We're all operating from a reality-based expectation. We're not living a pipe dream. We're not weighted under the burden of something that we can't achieve. We also have an effective standard of communication. You know, if we were all on a screen right now, I'd ask you to raise your hand if you've ever been confused by someone's message. That would be most of us. When we have a healthy and effective standard of communication, understand how we are messaging one another. How is our communication going? And we have at least a dose of unconditional positive regard. We have at least a dose of unconditional positive regard, and we'll talk about what this is in just a minute. So in this session, we're going to unpack a tool that allows you to have more information about all of this. And as we go further in this, with this tool that you'll be able to walk away, you'll walk away with a downloadable and a tool, and you've got the tool in session. There'll be a follow-up email on this. If you want to get the follow-up email that will unpack this and additional guides, I would invite you to throw name and email in there and also get entered in a drawing. So there's a drawing that we're giving away. Haley will provide that drawing by the end of the session. My colleague Haley will give a drawing by the end of the session. So if you throw name and email in the drawing and say, yep, I want to be in the drawing, throw that in there, and Haley will do that by the end of the session and tell us who our drawing is. And she'll throw in the chat window, in the questions window, a reminder of what our prize is. And we will keep moving with that. So here's the worksheet. So I invite you to draw this as simple as possible. Simple as possible what our tool is. You can draw this on a whiteboard. You can draw this on a flip chart. You can draw this on a sticky note when you're bringing a team together. So you start with a box, or a flip chart. You don't even need to draw the box because the flip chart's already drawn there. A piece of paper. When we're drawing the team development tool and we're bringing a team together and we're trying to say, hey, let's get all on the same page. Let's harness the power of this team. We get the group of people together and we say, let's focus, let's refocus. Let's be scrappy, but scrappy with a focus. Let's be self-led. If we're leader-less, let's be self-led. Let's be team-led. Let's lead ourselves. If we are motivated, can we be more intrinsically motivated together? So you take this box and we put a header on it and a footer on it. So 2 simple lines. We draw a header and a footer. So I invite you to draw that right now, wherever you are. Take your box and put a header and a footer on it. Simple tool to help you combat these often pain points that we encounter when we're not headed in the same direction. This brings us together so we can harness this power. A header and a footer. Then with the remaining space, you simply draw a plus sign, essentially a vertical line and then a horizontal line that crisscrosses the middle space. So we got a vertical header and a footer, and a vertical line and a horizontal line. All right, so as we go around the clock, clockwise, easiest way to remember this tool is to simply go around clockwise. And to harness the power of our team, we're going to fill in there. You'll notice there are now 6 boxes. There are 5 elements of a healthy and high-performing team. And Haley has just reminded us that our giveaway is 1 free seat to our half-day session of Grow Your Emotional Intelligence. This tool is going to harness 12 elements of emotional intelligence, and it's going to put these 5 things together. The first one is the purpose of our team. So we all need to be going in the same direction. So the purpose of our team is the first piece, and we're going to unpack all of these, but let me let you fill it in first. The second piece, coming around clockwise, is our roles and responsibilities. So first one is we put our purpose at the top. Right there at the top, we hone in on what is our purpose. Coming around the side, we focus in on our roles and responsibilities. Who's doing what? What are our roles and responsibilities? Who's doing what? I will point out that the number 2 leading cause of project failure, according to a wide range of studies, the number 2 leading cause of project failure is ineffective role responsibility mismatch. Number 2 leading cause of project failure is role responsibility mismatch. So if we put this really right in front of us, we can see who's doing what. We can take a look at that. Come around a little bit further. We've got team meetings and milestones is the next piece of this block. And again, you don't have to be the project manager to do this. You can be any helpful team member participant to say, hey, I'm just writing this down to get us all on the same page. My role in this conversation is just to get us all on the same page. So the purpose of our team is our roles and responsibilities are this, our team meetings and milestones. This could be meetings, milestones could also be deliverables. So we've got a plan, a schedule, some highlight that gets us all on the same page. The box at the bottom, still going around clockwise, the box at the bottom is bonus. And this is a motivational quote, something that reminds us to be light and fun and engaged. It motivates us. Maybe it's an inside joke. Someone once asked me, can this be it all pays the same? No, we really need something a little bit more elevated than it all pays the same, but it's something motivating that inspires us and connects us. Coming around again clockwise, coming around the other side of the clock here, we've got our communication preferences, and we'll dive into what those look like. So number 4 is a box entirely dedicated to how we talk to each other, how we communicate, how we use email, how we use Teams, how we use our various systems and our tools, how messages flow, when is the appropriate time, what's our response time, those kinds of things. And then the last box is our group norms. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This little tool right here is what we're going to talk about. There's the team development worksheet. And your downloadable is going to give you some more callouts. So we're going to take these each apart. And what I'm going to invite you to do right in the chat window is the first question that I have is, which one of these is a place where you already shine? Is there a place that you already shine right now? Throw that in the chat window. You're like, oh, hey, we do this. I'm so proud of us. Pat us on the back, pat yourselves on the back, pat your neighbor on the back, because you already do this so well. Let's lean in there because celebrate that. You're already doing that well. Would you throw that in the question chat right now? Something that you already do well. Celebrate that and enjoy that. I'll just invite you to throw that in the chat window right now. Celebrate what you do already well. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Something you already do well. See if we get any chat responses there. Feel free to turn on your camera. Thanks, Marissa, for turning yours on. It's lovely to see you today. And there's room for others. Number 3, Lisa already does that. Fantastic. You already have a schedule for that. You already keep that in front of people. Thanks, Lisa, for chiming in on that. Let's see, others. Oops. I keep going. I'm trying to get to the chat window and I keep moving my cursor. I've got 2 screens going on here. So sorry, that's me. 2 and 3. Caroline, you already do roles and responsibilities well, and team meetings and milestones. Fantastic. Thanks for engaging in that. Okay, so then is there something, and you can think about this, you don't have to put it in the chat window, but where do you want to upskill? Which of those 5 do you want to upskill? Everybody on chat, everybody on camera, everybody not on camera, everybody think about where you want to upskill. Make sure you're paying close attention there. All right, so let's take a look at this. What does this mean? When we are harnessing the power of our team, we know for sure that a team needs a common goal. In order to rally the troops, you can't, as we're moving forward in a project, right? The what are we doing and why are we doing it, right? We have scope, time, and cost as our common triangle, but the why, what's the point? What's the goal behind our project? What's the point? How do we stack it against other projects? What's the point? What's the why behind this project? That goal, that common goal, is what unites us. We can't get people united around we're doing this project because Joe said we could, or Joe said we should. Joe might be really interesting and engaging and fun, but that's only going to motivate us for about 3 days. We need something more than Joe said it's a good idea to motivate us. Why are we doing this? What's that why that motivates us? We need a common goal, and that right there, for any team that you're trying to get together, whether it's a project team or whether it's an operations team, why do we exist? What's our purpose? At our organization, our purpose is to help people have better workdays so that together we can co-create better communities. We all drive in our community and we want our roads to be safer. We live in our community and we want to see community gardens. So our motivator is to be healthy members of our community. And we help people have better workdays so that we can co-create better communities. What's the purpose of your team? That common goal harnesses so that even when the storms hit, we know that we've got a common goal. Even when we have disagreement, that common goal is what drives us forward. So things, as you're thinking about it, things that might be a common purpose. We might be building or making something together. We might be serving a third party or a greater good. We might be uniting against a common foe. Be careful on this one, though. That common foe is not a person. Please do not unite against a common enemy in person. We have become too divided as a world, as a society, as nation. We've become too divided. If you're going to unite against a common foe, make that common foe like the enemy of time, or we're competing against who we used to be and we want to be even better, or the enemy of the competition in general. We want to be better than the competition. Please don't choose the common foe as a person or a specific entity. To coexist in the same space peaceably. This is a great motivator when you're planning a common family vacation. Right, our common purpose. We want to get to our destination safely and peacefully. Maybe it's to heal or store a relationship. Again, I just want to show you that this tool can be used for just about any purpose. So coming around, who are we together? Next box, number 2, roles and responsibilities. What is the work that we do? Who are we and what is the work that we do? This is where we need a healthy level of self-awareness. I don't know if you've ever been in one of those meetings where you looked around and you're like, what is that guy doing here? Those are super frustrating. And for me personally, the only thing more frustrating than that is when I'm looking around and going, why am I here? What am I doing here? So frustrating. What a waste of time. Why am I even in this team or in this meeting or in this conversation? When we're harnessing the power of a team, we are aligning each individual with who they are and what they do best. Aligning each individual with who they are and what they do best. My friends, this is emotional intelligence at its core. This is bringing out the very best in people. You're not just an engineer, you're not just a project manager, you're not just a business analyst, you're not just a developer. You are a person who does these particular things and you do these things particularly well. We've got you aligned with these skills. And when we're doing team tools, I've seen it work really well with, sometimes it's your concrete role, depending on some teams. So this person's the project manager, this person's the business analyst, this person's the engineer, this person's sales engineer, or whatever it happens to be. I've also seen it used for softer skills, like this person's our VP of fun. This person, or our director of fun, this person is responsible for bringing treats, or this person is the one who makes sure this is our timekeeper. This is the one who makes sure we don't fall flat in these kinds of situations. This one babysits Joe to make sure Joe doesn't make crazy decisions when we're not paying attention. So what is it that each person does? I had a wonderful, wonderful conversation when I was facilitating this with a group. We can do this as like a half-day workshop, and we were helping a team build their awareness and heal after some team trauma. And in that particular moment, one of the team members said, well, yeah, Stephanie, you are the one, you're our treat scout. You bring us treats every time we get together. And she said, yeah, I know. You guys have been doing it for 2 years and there are 31 of us. Don't you suppose I'm getting tired of always being the one who bakes? Like, eggs are really expensive right now. That's a lot of burden. I'm the one who always bakes. I appreciate that you value that in me, but I'm tired of always being the one who does that. And so it allows us to surface and have that healthy conversation. So coming around to the next one, team meetings, milestones, and deliverables. So this is where we have a reality-based set of expectations. In this box, you can play with it depending on what your team needs. This is where we talk about, okay, maybe we as a team meet every Tuesday at 1. So project management meetings, there's all sorts of research that says the most effective time for project management meetings or for project team meetings is Tuesdays at 1 or Thursdays at 9. The second most effective is Tuesdays at 9 or Thursdays at 1. Super fun research on this if you want to geek out on that. But Tuesdays at 1 or Thursdays at 9, most effective. If you have all of your project meetings on that time, your teams are going to be hyper stretched and they're going to be in conflicts. So don't schedule all your meetings at that time because that's not fair to team members who are on multiple projects. But alas, so when you have your team meetings, you can schedule your team meetings. You can say these are them, or these are when we meet with the steering committee, or this is when we meet with our executives, or this is when we have to report out to the board. You can put those kinds of things on it. You can put major milestones, like we're expecting to pass from initiating into planning. We're expecting to go from planning into execution. We have to go and present this deliverable to this audience on this date. We're expecting our big celebration at the end to be on this date. We're expecting go live or code freeze on these dates. So we can do those kinds of things on here. We can do deliverables. We can do milestones. We can shape it up a couple of different ways, however works best for your team. This is a place that you can talk about the reality of what you're operating in. If you've got, for example, accountants that work with you, and you know that your accounting team is not available to you the last 3 days of any given month because they're in accounting world, or the first 3 days of any given month because there's financial stuff that happens and they like to be left alone, then leave them alone. If you know that there's board prep that has to be done for preparing for the board of trustees or the board of directors, whatever board you have, governance board in your organization, if you know there's board prep and that has to be done and that takes a whole bunch of resources from your team, then put board prep on there and don't schedule stuff over that. If you know, for example, that your code freeze at the end of the year happens at a certain time, put that on here and stop scheduling releases during code freeze. For example, not that any of us have ever been involved in organizations where releases were still scheduled during code freeze. I'm sure it didn't happen to anyone on this call. Not one single person. Surely not. Oh, I was on a project where the sponsor scheduled stuff that should not have been scheduled for during the holiday season of a year. Come on, put holidays on there if you need to. Schedule your own breaks, schedule holidays, schedule things that need to be on there that show up so that you can see what you schedule around and what you're working around so that you're not trying to operate in a vacuum, so that you have the data, so that you have the reality-based set of expectations. Here's another example that's going to go on with this. And I'm pausing here because it seems so obvious, right? It seems so obvious to say, well, roles and responsibilities, duh, that seems clear. And milestones and deliverables, that seems really clear. Why are you dwelling here? Let me give you an example. And this happened in our own organization. And so I can share our own horror stories and you can learn from those. So a number of years ago, it has always been true, we're a training and coaching company. So we do the bulk of our training on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. People can't learn on Mondays and they don't learn on Fridays. It's just true. So that is, we don't train on Mondays or Fridays. You just don't bother. So Mondays and Fridays tend to be our operational days, and most hands are on deck in our office on Mondays and Fridays. And so those are big operational days for a variety of things that we do. Mondays, get ready for the week. Friday, recover from the week and look together strategically about what's coming up in the next several weeks or months or quarters ahead. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are client deliverable days. So what happened there before we had done a tool like this in our organization, sat down and really planned through it together, is that we had a belief, a misbelief in one of our team members that because we do so much operational work on Mondays and Fridays, that individual had interpreted it to mean they could never take a Monday or a Friday off. They could never have a long weekend. So they had this internal belief that they never voiced, they never said, they never asked about. And they told their spouse, well, because I work for this company now, I can never take a long weekend. I'll never have a Friday off. I'll never have a Monday off because I work for this company and we'll never have a long weekend again. And it became this growing issue and this resentment where it became a marital dispute. So my business, where I work to help people have better work days, to co-create better communities, became a place where there was marital tension because of a misbelief that we didn't talk about. Holy smokes, you guys. I was no longer harnessing the power of a team because I had an individual that hadn't voiced and we hadn't talked about this expectation. This was not based in reality. This was based in this person's misperception, because we do work on Mondays and Fridays, but I never said you had to work on Mondays and Fridays. If you needed to take Monday or Friday off, you just say, I got to take Monday or Friday off, and then we work around it. Make sure your work is done, make sure your deliverables are accounted for, or that someone else is doing them, or that I've picked them up, or that we planned ahead. But yes, go, by all means, go. Tend to your family, tend to your marriage, do what you need to do. But if we don't talk about this stuff, we don't know. Got to be based in reality. The other piece of reality is the reality that we've all been pressed to, and I know for sure that someone else on this call, not just me, has been pressed into a deliverable date that we know darn well is impossible because we cannot fit 10 pounds of flour into a 5-pound flour bag. And we created a plan that would work. But now someone outside of the project team, someone outside of this deliverable team has said, yeah, but do it faster. Yeah, but do it with less. And this team meetings and milestones box allows us to make a reality-based set of expectations. Okay, I'm going to pause there because then we're going to go on to the softer stuff. This is the technical stuff. That's that side of the brain. Now we're going to shift to the other side of the brain. But I'll pause there. You throw questions in the question bar if you want to. Feel free to ask any of those. And we're getting to about the halfway point here. Haley is going to do that drawing before we end the session. So this is my last call out. We're at 33. We'll do Q&A at about 50. I'll stop talking at about 10 till for Q&A, and we'll just keep moving. So sometimes as we're going through harnessing the power of our team and as we're going through the teamwork, maybe you've encountered this, maybe you have not, difficult moments and difficult behaviors get in the way. Maybe you haven't encountered that. Maybe you've never had difficult moments. Maybe you've never had someone behave in a difficult way. But most of us have, right? Most of us have had difficult behaviors. Most of us have had people forget to show up. People forget to do deliverables. People have a loose relationship with time. People have a bad day and they bring it to the office with them. People do things that are not conducive to good behavior. And the problem with these difficult behaviors is they stop progress. They stop us from moving forward. They stop us from meeting those deliverables, showing up into those milestones, doing the roles and responsibilities that we expected. I expected you to do this thing and then you didn't do the thing. They also create distress. And when distress shows up at work, it doesn't help us be effective. So what do we do with that? Sometimes in those moments, we can just brush it off. And the idea of just brushing it off is this bonus quote at the bottom. The bonus quote at the bottom is the thing that lets us just shake it off, shake it off, baby, just shake it off and then move on to the next thing. And sometimes that's all it takes, is just a reminder of this team. It's a motivational and inspirational quote. Think 6th grade cat posters. That 6th grade is about when we start to become aware that we need to shake it off sometimes. So think about 6th grade, when you were in 6th grade and you looked at the wall of your teacher's room and there were cat posters, motivational posters that usually had cats hanging from trees or walls or something, and it said, hang in there, you're going to be fine, or you'll do great. And they were inspirational, they were motivational, they reminded us that we can do this. That's the idea here. It's something that motivates us, something that inspires us, something that helps us shake it off. And it's good for us, and it's shared for the team. It reminds us that we care about one another. It reminds us that we can move forward, we can shake it off, and that the potential for greatness really does live within each of us. We really can do this. We really can do this. And that's what that motivational quote is. You'll know it when you find it, Your team will have it. You'll see it. Don't agonize over this. Sometimes it's a joke. Sometimes it's an inside joke or an inside comic thing. So when you find it, you'll know it. Enjoy it. Throw it on there. It's just bonus, and it's the thing that lets us just sort of shake it off. Okay, so coming around to the next one. This is number 4 on our five elements as we're creating, harnessing the power of your team. Number 4 is around the communication preferences. We need an effective standard of communication. We need to know how we're going to talk to each other. Sinikka, come on. Do we need a whole box for this? Yes, my friends, we do. We do. There are multiple generations in the workplace right now. And if you haven't noticed yet, we communicate differently. There are multiple genders in the workplace. And if you haven't noticed, we communicate differently. So the average American male uses, on average, 4,000 words in a day. The average American female uses, on average, 17,000 words in a day. Let me say those numbers again. The average American woman uses 17,000 words in a day. The average American male uses 4,000 words in a day. So those are different. Generationally, they're different, right? We're seeking different things. We talk about things different ways. We communicate different ways. We like our phones or we don't like our phones. We like our email or we don't like our email. We like our Teams or our text or we don't like Teams or text. My goodness gracious, we communicate differently. And so we have to define a standard of communication. We have to define, how are we going to communicate? How will we communicate? What is our plan for communication? What's the plan? What's the plan? How are you going to communicate? How am I going to communicate? What do we agree to? What do we do when there's an emergency? What do we do when it's non-pressured? What do we do when we need to communicate and we're not in a hurry, or when you're not in a hurry, but I am? How do I tell you that this is urgent when it's not urgent for you? What do we do when we need to collaborate? How do we communicate? What are our service level agreements? How do we use emojis if we use emojis? How do we use punctuation if we use punctuation? How do we use languages if we're crossing language barriers? How do we use our screens if we're going to have screens on, cameras off? How do we do this? I was in building a team fairly recently with a group. It's a community-wide group, right? So we're building a team that's doing really, really important work in a community. And this is a group of individuals who have never been a team before. And none of them have ever been part of building something this significant before, like this big, massive. I mean, significant in the volume size. So as we're putting this team together, and there's the storming, there's plenty of storming, I tell you. And as we're figuring this out, one of the things that came up was the idea of, well, screens on, and if your screens go off, then at least talk about your nonverbals, at least communicate any nonverbals that need to be communicated. So that if you're angry, tell us that you're angry, or you're hostile, or you're closing off your body language or whatever. And that created a fascinating discussion about, yeah, well, if my screen is off, it's because I'm folding laundry over here and you don't need to see my husband's underwear. Okay, yes, thank you for surfacing that. You're right, I don't want to see your husband's underwear. But I do want to know if you're mad. I do want to know if you're grouchy. And let's talk about our communication expectations. I worked with another group that was working on a standard of communication. So it was a team that had a new leader had just come into the team, and he'd been there for about 6 months, and tensions had been raising and raising and raising and raising on the team, and he didn't understand why. And so I was brought in to help sort of problem solve and triage what was going on. And what had happened is, he's a kind of out there during the day, build relationships, build connections, build the community. He was very visible in the community, and then he would do his email work in the evenings. And so he'd get on email and do his email work in the evenings, and his team members would see those emails come in, and they felt compelled to respond to them. So they'd come in like 9, 10 at night. He had a young family as well, so he'd be out during the day and then attend to his family in the evening and then put his kids to bed, and then 9, 10 at night he'd sit down and do email. So his employees felt compelled to then respond to email at 10 o'clock at night, and they got more and more and more resentful. Well, there was never a communication expectation set from him about, hey, look, I don't expect you to respond to these messages. I expect you to respond to these messages next time you're logged on. I don't expect you to wait there or jump on email at 10 p.m. just because I'm on email at 10 p.m. And all it took was for him to communicate to them, I'm going to do email in weird off hours. Please respond to this when you're logged on next. Don't log on special for me. But that had to be an overt communication, because without it, they assumed he wanted them to communicate and email right away. But we got to talk about that. We got to communicate about this stuff, because otherwise people don't know. Communications, my friend, when we get to the core of it, it's critical, it's hard, and it's not about me. And if you wind up in any, I don't think it's possible to take a training from your Clear Next Step and not see this slide somewhere in there, because the truth of communication is that it is critical. It is critical that we stay on the road. It's critical that we keep our communication focused and clear. And it's harder than we think it is. It takes more time and more effort. And it is not about me. It's always about the other person. And so as we're building our communication norms, we got to remember to set ourselves aside just a little bit, and then allow the other person to get their needs met as well. So Marissa, I see your question there. How do you advocate for the time to co-create and complete this? So a thing that you can do in an organization is talk about the value of high-performing teams and how high-performing teams can create so much more. You can also point to pain that the team has experienced. Hey, we had this pain recently. This is a tool that I've recently learned about that might help us overcome that, or might help us offset that, or might help us prevent that pain in the future. So you can respond to recent pain. You can respond to, you can surface effectiveness of high performing teams. You can make a suggestion and you can say, hey, this is a thing I learned about. Can I help us build this? You can offer it as a tool that you bring to the facilitator. You can say, hey, I'd love to help facilitate this. How can I surface that? Always putting the good of the organization first. And as we think about that, when you're building those communication norms, just remember that everybody communicates differently. And so it can't be about any one of us. It has to be all of us. We all have these different styles, and we all have this different expectation that our styles are different and that they come together, and sometimes they clash, and we expect the other person to just do what we did. And we can't assume that. Unless we're intentional about our communication style, it doesn't work. And so we need this moment to really intentionally dive in so that we don't mistakenly just assume that the other person will communicate the way we communicate. Oh, we'll skip that video. So one of the things that I invite us to stop and visit about just really quickly is thinking about communication modes. And I alluded to this a moment ago, but really think within your team the value of these different communication modes. So there's text and instant message, there is email, there's phone call, there's the drop by or the impromptu video chat. There are all these different ways that people can communicate, and then there's a formal meeting. Think about your own bias and how you might use those. And for most of us, when we engage with those, we think to ourselves, oh, this one is best. Maybe it's best for me, or maybe it's best for this situation. But do we stop and think about which one is best for that other person? What does that other person like best? And when we stop and build this communication norms section, we really stop and we go, okay, when is texting best? When is for this group? When is emailing best for this group? When is phone call best for this group? When are drop bys best, or impromptu video chats best for this group? When are formal meetings best for this group? And then we try and honor it. And we really try and allow the group to let each person have at least some say in the preferences, so it's not dominated by just one person. So we're swinging around to the last piece here. And the last piece in the tool, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So this is the 5th piece. How will we behave together? And this is where we need this dose of unconditional positive regard. And what is unconditional positive regard? Unconditional positive regard is just like it sounds. So unconditional, no matter what. Positive, meaning in a favorable light. That means I value you, I appreciate you, I'm looking at you favorably. And regard from the Latin root or the French regarder, which is to look upon, right? So no matter what, I'm going to look at you in a favorable way. So this means no matter what, we agree collectively, no matter what, even if you just did the thing you promised me you weren't going to do again. Even if you just didn't do the thing you promised you were going to do again. Even if you just made a mistake and it was an honest mistake, even if you just cut me off in traffic, even if you just made our deliverable late, even if you just called my baby ugly, no matter what, before I speak, before I send that email, before I hang you out to dry, no matter what, I stop and I look at you and I recall and I remember at my core that you are a human being, which means you have value and you have worth. And that's what governs my words. That's what governs my thoughts is your value, not my irritation. Your value and your value to this team, the fact that you matter, not the fact that I'm irritated, not the fact that this deliverable is going to be late, but that you matter as a human. That's what comes into play. And so we create these group norms committed to the fact that we know that each one of us matters. How are we going to behave when we know that each person matters? How will we behave when we know that each person matters? So I'll acknowledge that sometimes trying to understand the behavior of some people is like trying to smell the color 9. And of all the memes I've ever seen, this is still my favorite ever. And sometimes it's because that's how I look at my younger daughter. Like, what? How did you even get there? I don't understand. The rest of us make so much sense, but I don't get you. I love you, but I don't get you. And this is what I need us to think about is I love you, but I don't get you. And then flip it around. I don't get you, but I love you. And that's what I need us to have in our mind as we build those group norms. I may not get you, I may not understand you, but I really delight in you. And I'm really glad you're part of this team because you add value to this team and you are part of the success. I don't have to like you in this exact moment to value you, but we are all human. And so I'm going to take accountability for my attitude. I'm going to help correct the situation. I'm going to learn from whatever my part is, and I'm going to move us all on to do better. That's what unconditional positive regard looks like. I don't have to like you. I don't have to like your behavior, but I value you. I acknowledge we're all human, and I'm going to take accountability for my attitude. I'm going to help us correct the situation. I'm going to learn from whatever we need to learn, and we're all going to move on to do better. So here's some examples of norms that exist in here. And we create these together. I don't tell you what the norms are. We create them together. They're like start and stop on time. I'm not going to read these to you. You're capable readers. That would be silly. But these are norms that exist. These are common. So when I'm building group norms, I will often start with 2 or 3 and say, here are some examples. What do we want as a group? What do we think would be great? And we leverage some of these norms together. And we decide which ones are more effective for us. Which ones are we going to use so that we can prevent bad behaviors, so we can prevent dysfunction, and we can really harness that team. We can really harness, if we've got a person who's got a loose relationship with time, then we want to have a norm that says, let's start and stop on time. If we've got members who are used to sidebar conversations, then we want a norm like one conversation at a time. If we've got someone who really values being heard, then we want a norm like, hey, acknowledge what's being said. Don't just sit there silently. If we've got people who struggle to acknowledge their action items, then we want, hey, complete your assigned action item. Do what you said you would do. Dwizzed. If consensus and collaboration is a problem, then we want we agree, let's do it. So you help define the group norms that will help us thrive. The truth of the matter is we're not going to be perfect at this. We've all got stuff. We've all got stuff. But when we move through it, we can move through it successfully. And we cannot be perfect. We can be imperfect. We can agree to disagree, if you will, not in the passive aggressive way, but in the way that says we don't see eye to eye on this, but we see the value for the team and we can value each other and keep moving. And when we make a mistake, we can say, I'm sorry without a but, because I'm sorry followed by but is not I'm sorry. So there's the team development tool. We've got some time for questions in here. I would love some discussion. I know there are 11 of us still on the call. Would love to hear who's there and what the conversation is. We've got the purpose of our team. We've got our roles and responsibilities, our team meetings and milestones, our motivational quote, our communication preferences, and our group norms. And I am hoping that you are committing to take away 2 to 3 things, and we'll see from there.
All right, thank you so much, Sinikka. As a reminder, if you guys have questions, you can either type them in the questions panel or you can raise your hand. So we're happy to answer any questions that you have. There is one question, Sinikka. It's, what's one of your favorite motivational quotes?
Oh, this is great. So one of my favorite motivational quotes is, I like it when each team finds their own. And so the ones that I have loved the most have been really, really team specific. But the generic are the things that are poking fun. There was one that made me laugh that was around there are no cats in America, which was the team poking fun. It was quite a bit ago, and they were poking fun at the movie. Oh gosh, it was a kids movie. It was had the character Fievel in it, and there was a song about there are no cats in America, and they were joking about how they were working under a misbelief before, but they had an optimism paired with a misbelief, and they used a quote that allowed them to sort of poke fun at their previous misbelief, and they had learned that lesson, that they played with their optimism, and they kept their optimism but discarded the falseness, right? They learned to anchor it in truth. So they kept optimism without falsehood. So that was one of my personal favorites. I like it when they're really personal to the group. Thanks for asking, Lisa.
All right. It looks like we don't have any other questions. So if you want to wrap it up, Sinikka, we can do that. And if you guys end up having questions, feel free to send them after the fact, and we'll make sure to get them answered.
Okay. I know that Haley was working on doing a drawing there. Haley was doing a drawing the giveaway was for one free seat to our half-day session of Grow Your Emotional Intelligence. That's coming up on August 20th. So Haley's going to throw that into the questions window, I think is where she's going to put that. So Haley, go ahead and throw that in there, and I'll announce that as well once I see that in there. She was handling that magic on the side, because that is something I cannot do. I cannot talk and do that on the side. So she's doing that. And the winner for the giveaway is John Lau. Thank you. We'll be reaching out by email soon. So John Lau, thanks for entering the drawing. So that's one free, you get a free seat at our half-day session of either Grow Your Emotional Intelligence on August 20th or Change with Less Pain on September 4th. So that's that one. So what we were hoping to do out of this session was get an exposure to 5 elements of a healthy, safe, and productive team. I hope you're walking away with a tool that you can use. It's super simple to draw. It has those boxes, right? So you take a piece of paper, you draw a header, a footer, a plus sign in the middle, and you go around clockwise. And it's got the one side which feels more tactical, but you still draw into and you lean into that emotional intelligence side. And then you come up the other side and you're really anchoring in what people need and those conversations that you need. So you had some examples and then some conversations that will help you develop your team into greatness. So more offerings for us. There are lots of things that we do. We're a training and coaching company. We're here to help you make your work days better. We do that through training and coaching. And we are, as you're putting together your plans and as you're putting together the tools that you need, sometimes you need just a little bit of extra help. We have a variety of 1 day and half day and then 1 hour sessions as well that we offer throughout the year. Please check us out at yourclearnextstep.com. We are happy to help you in any way we can. And if you're interested in larger, making a bigger difference in your organization, our Changemakers program is a way to do that as well. So that is what I have for you today. I am so delighted to have spent this time with you. I just really appreciate your time and engagement. And if I can be useful, please reach out. I'm happy to help in any way I can.
Thank you so much, Sinikka. It was a pleasure as always. And again, we'll be following up within the next week with the recording of the webinar and a follow-up survey. And feel free again to reach out if you guys have any questions or need any additional information. And we appreciate your participation. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody.